Hello and welcome to this live coffee break webinar series from MMS 2017. My name is Matthew Long and I'm joined by the usual Squared Up crew as well as a host of amazing guests this week, so hopefully this will be a really exciting episode. I'm joined here just first off by Richard from Squared Up, who are going to take us through a couple of things, and then we'll get some guest speakers on. So we've got a lot of content to cover, so let's dive straight in and take a look at what we're talking about. So Rich South is going to take us through what we're doing here at MMS.
Yeah, so those of you who have kind of met Squared Up at a show before will know that we always try and put a lot of effort and a lot of energy into to having a good presence here. So we got a nice booth, nice big stand. We're doing live demos all day, focusing a lot on showing people visual application, discovery and analysis, meeting some of the lovely folk out here. A lot of people meeting Squared Up for the first time, so that's good. This afternoon we'll be doing a session on SCOM, the missing piece of the puzzle, where we'll be focusing a lot on kind of application monitoring and using sort of VADA to drive that. We've also got a customer case study in that. We'll be being joined by Shawn from Purdue University, who's actually going to come on and speak sort of later today. He's got a really interesting story about his organisation's kind of use of SCOM and really how they've sort of rethought their whole approach. That's pretty cool. Those of you who have kind of met us before as well at these shows know we like to do whiskey tasting sessions, so we'll be running a little whiskey tasting boozy session at the end of the day today, focused on the sort of SCOM community. And then in terms of kind of what I've been doing here, I guess a lot of networking. There's some really great community sort of folk here. And we had a nice dinner with a lot of the members of the sort of SCOM community here. A few drinks. We've set the world to rights as far as sort of SCOM goes. And off the back of that, we'll be sort of hatching some more plans to sort of continue our kind of community drive, to really sort of share knowledge kind of across the community. So I think I would say sort of in general, like watch that space, expect to see sort of lots more to come. Now the other thing that we're doing here that you guys will know, we've got a bit of a thing for sort of Star Wars Lego, so we're using that to attract people to the stand. What we actually decided to do here at MMS was a kind of State of the Nation, sort of State of the Union survey, really to try and gauge people's kind of thoughts on where they see sort of SCOM going, how they're feeling about OMS and the direction that that's sort of taking them in. We didn't think it was fair just for that to go out to the audience here at sort of MMS. And so for all of those of you who are sort of joining us today, we wanted to sort of extend a special chance for you guys to enter that survey and win some Star Wars Lego as well. So either while you're listening to this or right afterwards, just head to squaredup.com/MMSCB, so MMS Coffee Break, MMSCB. There's a little survey on there. Enter into that. It's a lot of fun. I really think you'll enjoy doing that. And one of you guys will be the winner of some cool sort of Star Wars Lego. So that's me. I think next up, Rich.
All right, thanks very much, Rich. So yeah, please do take that survey online. I guess we'll probably sort of close that off by the end of today. So sort of do it now, sort of shortly following this webinar. If you're listening to this recorded,
I'm doing it right now.
If you're listening to this recorded on YouTube, don't bother. The Star Wars Lego would have already been given away to someone. So what we thought we'd do at the coffee break here, unfortunately, at MMS, they are not recording the session. So there is some fantastic SCOM and OMS content being delivered. So probably sort of, I think, 3 or 4 sessions every day on SCOM and OMS. Certainly a lot of things that we're ourselves interested in heading to. So unfortunately they're not recording the session, so if you're not attending MMS in person, you won't be able to see that content. So what we thought we'd do is grab a few of those speakers, bring them up and get them to, I guess, give everyone who's listening to this coffee break a sort of taste of what they're delivering in terms of their content and maybe sort of some tips for them to take away. So first up is Natascia, who's probably one of the newest MVPs, I think, sort of in this space. So congratulations, Natascia.
Yeah.
So Natascia's actually already delivered one session, which is that first one up there, so why we want you to migrate to SCOM 2016, which I went to yesterday, so that was sort of giving an overview of the new features in SCOM 2016 and sort of some of the reasons to upgrade, and the next one today is sort of, I guess, the tips and tricks. So out of those 2 sessions, would you like to sort of highlight anything to the audience about sort of what they should be considering with SCOM 2016?
Yeah, in SCOM 2016, you get some nice new features so that you have now the scheduled maintenance mode and the agent maintenance mode, which you can set directly from the agent. That's the feature I like most. I waited for this
Actually,
for years.
in the session yesterday, that was actually the feature that stood out for me. So I think everyone's aware that SCOM 2016 now has scheduled maintenance mode, but I don't think I'd appreciated the fact that you can now put a server into maintenance mode from the server itself using a PowerShell command.
So you don't need additional management packs which provide this. I had also a sample management pack in my blog, which was used already in the last years a lot. But now that's not required anymore. You can use the built-in functionality. I'm
going to put you on the spot actually, because I wanted to ask a question yesterday in the session. So you can run the PowerShell commander on the server itself, and it puts the server into maintenance mode. And you were showing yesterday in your session how what that command it does is essentially create a registry key, which is then read by the agent on a sort of 5-minute basis, and when it detects that there's a registry key exists, it then puts that server into maintenance mode. Can you put the server into maintenance mode just by directly editing that registry key? So if you had a script that just set that registry key directly rather than through the PowerShell?
Yeah, I think so. I've not tried it, but I think so.
Okay, that's one thing to try. Great. So that's definitely one of the more interesting SCOM 2016 features. And what else do you have on your list?
Yeah, from the feature list, in general the performance is much better, so that's also something why I would say go to the newer version. You will see that directly in the console, the queries are faster and it helps during the regular work. So that's one of the things also people were complaining of a lot. And other nice features in the new version are the alert tuning, where you can directly see which management packs create the most alerts and from which source this comes from. There are other nice things like the updates and recommendation part, where you can see which management packs need updates or which ones you probably missed. So a lot of management and maintainment help. And it looks like small features, but in the complete picture, it helps you a lot.
And so in terms of upgrading, I think sort of many people are probably planning an upgrade, haven't yet sort of put that out into production. If there was, say, like one tip or sort of maybe one or two tips about sort of when you upgrade, don't forget to, or you must do something, what would it be?
Yeah, I would always say for each upgrade, have a good backup. That's very important. Have the encryption key. And check that you have a healthy system before you do any upgrade. If it's a roll-up update or a big update to 2016, that's the basement which you need to do. And then for the upgrade itself, you need to decide which path you go, if you do an in-place upgrade or a parallel installation, so side by side. It depends on your environment if you have upgraded before or not. If you have upgraded before, I probably would say start over again, because you don't know how the system behaves. Microsoft has changed table entries in the past.
So you mean if you've gone from 2012 to 2012 R2 and so on, is that what you mean?
In my company we started on 2007 R2, upgraded and upgraded. So this really is old school, I know, but that's why I also say when we upgrade now, I will do a fresh installation, because I don't want to have any problems with the structure which is still in there, and it always is a chance to upgrade things in that way that you restructure it, re-architect it, remove old management packs which you probably don't need anymore, etc. So you have a new build, and you can build this without affecting the existing system. So it has some pros, but you need additional systems. So you have also some cons. So it's both. We need to decide that, and that's what we will discuss in the presentation.
Thank you very much. And so I guess, Natascia, you've been sort of focusing a lot on SCOM in terms of blogging and presenting at sessions like this. But Natascia turned up yesterday with a ServiceNow backpack on, so hot off the ServiceNow. Is it Knowledge conference that you went to? So in Natascia's organisation, they're now looking to roll out ServiceNow, as are sort of many customers that we speak to. So I guess hopefully we'll see a lot more information from you about how you're planning to integrate SCOM and ServiceNow, and hopefully that'll be very interesting to the rest of the community as well.
Yeah, as far as I get something to share, I will do that.
We'll include like links to Natascia's blog and all the other speakers as well in the show notes, so we'll be able to find you afterwards.
Great, fantastic. Thank you very much, Natascia, for joining us. Have a great show, and I look forward to your session later.
Thank you.
So next up, let me just grab Nathan here. Nathan, welcome. So Nathan probably is a new name to most of you. I guess you have a blog which we'll sort of put up as well. But you're sort of presenting here at this session around a management pack, or sort of not management pack, a sort of a use of SCOM that maybe is a bit unusual.
Yeah, an easier use, and we're also kind of going for a group that is dumped into SCOM. They get to this new environment and they've never used SCOM before. The company has SCOM, and hey, you're going to administer this now. So we've got 2 sessions going for that. The first one's the quick and dirty SCOM primer, which is as much as we can teach you about SCOM in an hour and a half. It's trying to dig through a dictionary in an hour.
Yep.
But we're hoping to get across to people just enough that they aren't as scared when you open the console, that you can kind of feel familiar.
Yep.
And we'll send them to the whiskey tasting session as that should answer some questions and make everyone a little more comfortable.
They'll need it if they're new to SCOM. Yeah.
Help soften that. The second one, it's...
So let me just read that out. So we need it done now. Sidestepping management packs for custom monitoring solutions using PowerShell and SCOM. Intriguing.
Yeah.
What is that?
To preface it, to say an altruistic SCOM person would say, well, it's not good to sidestep it, but a lot of the people are really familiar with PowerShell, and they may want to jump into SCOM quick and not write the discoveries and do a discovery, reference, and a relationship to another class and discover your targeted object. So this is going to cover, you could actually make a timed rule that just runs a PowerShell. It's really simplifying SCOM down to a basic scheduler or a triggered action system. I'd say it's a little oversimplification of the tool, but there's times when you may not have the time to do it the right way. So Cole and I, my co-presenter, are going to work on trying to put the clarity between, if you do it the quick way, these are the downsides, but you can get it done quicker. If you do it the correct way, you'll benefit from all the features available in SCOM. Things like discovery, when you deploy a new one, you'll get the new monitor, all of that.
But it's reasonable to weigh up, what your investment, what your skill set is, and what your investment would be in sort of creating new management packs.
That could certainly be a journey as well. I mean, if you are starting out, you've never had any monitoring on this team before, they may struggle with full fat SCOM immediately. So you can start out with this process, let them run for like a month, 2 months, figure out what they want to see, how they want to be notified, that kind of thing, and then go with the full sort of option later on down the road. It's not all or nothing.
Yeah. So I'm guessing that sort of few people listening to this are probably interested in that and pretty intrigued in that. As I say, the sessions aren't recorded at MMS, which is a bit of a shame. Are you planning to publish that somewhere which everyone can sort of...
The slides will be up, and I think I'll try and put those on my blog so people can kind of go through them.
Yep.
A lot of it you could find out there on blog posts. We're trying to bring together a lot of what the community's done just into one quick session.
Yep.
But that's something I could get up there on my blog.
Yeah, great. And actually, let's finish up by, I guess we can't bring it up now, but what is your blog, just verbally?
Just practice2perfect.com.
Practice with 2 with
the
number 2, practice to perfect. So I checked that out yesterday. I hadn't come across it. There's some interesting content already on there around OMS and SCOM and being able to control OMS in a much more sort of fine-grained way. So it's not an all or nothing OMS sort of set of solutions. So that's worth checking out as well. So practice2perfect.com. Great. Thanks very much, Nathan. I guess it's probably worth adding as well. Chat to Nathan yesterday. He's got a stack of different SCOM management packs and other solutions that are very, very interesting. So hopefully we'll see more of that coming out to the community as well, and we'll hopefully enable that.
Try and get more of that in there.
Thanks, Nathan. Catch you later. All right. Next up, we have a name that will be familiar to everyone on the webinar. Welcome, Cameron. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you all doing?
Yeah, very good. As you can see from the slide, I don't think we could fit all of your sessions on. It seems like you're pretty much up front on every single session. Even if you're not standing up front, you're in the audience, generally adding value where you can to the discussion.
Great spot to find out more about SCOM. Yeah. Great stuff to find. A great place for more OMS stuff.
It is, isn't it? It's a really good set of content. I mean, I think there's a lot of config manager content here as well. So in terms of the attendees, there's a lot of config manager content. But I mean, I think this is some of the best OMS and SCOM content I've seen at a session, probably since the old MMS days, right? I don't think we've sort of had that since. So let's have a look down there. There's a lot around OMS. That's generally your sort of focus at this conference, certainly, right? So just showing off what's new in OMS.
Yeah.
I'm guessing you can't condense all of that content down into the next 5 minutes, but I think you sort of had to think about some points you'd like to make, and maybe some areas that, if you're listening to this sort of webinar, people could go off and sort of Google and look up and sort of learn a bit more about what's coming.
Absolutely.
So what did you have in mind to sort of tell the audience?
I was thinking about it since we talked about it, yesterday. Of kind of what's biggest and most important. I thought there was like 5 things that really stand out to me on the OMS side of it. So the first one is, and this is a session that Brian Wren from Microsoft, if you've ever heard of MP Author, he's the one doing this. Service map integration with SCOM. So service map in essence is capabilities that exist in OMS and how to get that onto your SCOM environment. It doesn't really replace a lot of the stuff that we're used to right now, but it's really interesting to see them playing those two components together, those two solutions together to a benefit of both in essence.
Yep.
So the better together type.
And
story.
there's a new management pack coming out for SCOM that sort of enables that integration, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
For those that are SCOM, old school SCOM folks, I mean, it's if you were to tear it apart, you would find very similar stuff to what you're used to, and that that's how it really works behind the scenes. But it's interesting, at least, to see them working those two together at least. So.
And is that something if you're a customer not sort of looking at OMS right now, right? Not investing in that. Is that still something worth looking at and understanding what Microsoft are doing with Service Map and DAs, and maybe being inspired by that, even outside of OMS?
Yeah, it's something to take a look into at least. I mean, if you haven't already started using OMS, Service Map is an example of one that would fit within a free tier, or something you can kind of kick the tires on as an example. Like the security solution and stuff, that takes a whole lot of data. But if you take some things like this, some best practice solutions like best practice analyzers and the rest of it, they're small in terms of data, quick in terms of value, so the things you can really add for a better together type story.
Yeah, great.
So.
Fantastic. Okay, so OMS Service Map and some of the changes coming out from that.
So that's number one. Number two, I have to throw a huge shout out to Lee Berg.
Yep.
So yesterday, Lee showcased an example of using an Alexa to actually query Microsoft OMS data.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was wicked cool. And it was funny because I was watching some of the people in the audience who were developers, and Lee didn't just go up there and fire up the Alexa and just run the query and everything. He showed every step of how he built this, and it's using Azure functions, and it's using Amazon Amazon Lambda pieces, I think it is, and others, and all of this together. So he really showed how it works. Then the behind the scenes is really, really cool. So he's got a blog out there on that. So if you want to see the beginnings of now how you can take Alexa and integrate into things like OMS, or even, hey, SCOM, think about that for a minute. If you can do it in OMS, we're probably doing SCOM.
We're like one day closer to Minority Report, aren't we here? We're almost there.
Absolutely. Great big, that would be really cool to be all on board with that. So.
All right, that sounds like a good bit of fun in that session. Yep.
That was cool. Number 3, big one, is a huge announcement on patching for Linux.
Okay.
So if you're config manager people here, config manager isn't really focused on things like non-Windows operating systems from a patch management perspective. So you can use OMS to be able to do your update management. It'll patch Windows systems, it'll patch Unix, Linux systems, and it gives you better reporting and visualizations in terms of what's actually patched and what's not. So especially for the config manager folks out there, it's something for them to start really taking a look at and seeing, okay, maybe I can leverage OMS to patch my Linux boxes, and then I use config manager for all the rest of it, and OMS to do some reporting. But it's a good tie-in.
Yeah, great, good. All right, so that's kind of cross-platform story really playing out there finally.
Absolutely. Now that Satya's in place, man, it's an entirely different game, which is pretty cool. Number 4 is ITSM integration.
Okay.
So they announced that just a couple of days ago that became public.
In OMS.
Yeah, in OMS at this point. So basically you can go in there and pick Service Manager or Provence or Sharewell and directly connect those into your OMS environments to be able to integrate some of that data. So I think interesting to see them heading that direction.
Yeah, I think that came out, was that last week that was announced?
Yeah, they were private.
Blog?
Yeah, they were private previewing it, and I think they just either public previewed or full GA at this point.
Yeah. I think that it's also included ServiceNow as well, wasn't it?
Yes, absolutely. ServiceNow was a huge one in that as well.
Yeah.
So that beginning to pull together all those types of data sources. So that was number 4, and then number 5, which is really exciting, is a session that I'm heading to in a little bit that Brian Wren is doing. Okay, so now I'm intentionally going to be vague, and I'll say just one word. The one word is Kusto, Kusto, and I'll leave it with that. But to say that of all the sessions that I'm aware of this week, in terms from an OMS perspective, Kusto is the most important thing you're going to hear about all week.
That is a great teaser. I think I did the same thing when I saw that in the session summary. I Google searched it, and I was interested to find what the results were. So yeah, we'll leave it to our audience to go search for Custo.
Perfect.
Excellent. All right, thanks very much, Cameron. That's fantastic. You're a busy man. We'll let you go. Enjoy the show.
Thanks, y'all. Have a good one.
All right, to finish off, we've actually got the guest speaker who will be appearing in our session later today, which is a Squared Up customer, Shawn Williams from Purdue University. Welcome, Shawn. How are you doing?
I'm all right. How are you?
Yeah, very good. So Shawn's going to be speaking in our session later here at MMS. As I say, it's not recorded. But what we're doing with Shawn is really just taking his environment, I guess, as a case study, and just talking through with customers, what they can do with Squared Up and SCOM. But really the reason why sort of Shawn and what he's doing at Purdue really sort of stood out was that I guess there's sort of two things. One is you came to us, we kind of talked about, I think it's probably the end of last year or sort of early this year, and you sort of, the way you presented it to us, which was in your organisation, you were re-looking again at monitoring and realising that although you've had monitoring for a long time and you've had sort of SCOM for a while, it wasn't really delivering perhaps what it should have been delivering.
We were very siloed. We had it in one, possibly two teams. It was a virtualization and Windows team. But then Purdue decided they wanted to have holistic monitoring across the infrastructure. So we had to come up with a way to demonstrate to our CIO, here's what we can do quickly, what we can do end to end, show a particular case and say, hey, this is what we can do if we really focused on a particular tool, a particular process, and where we can go with it. And this is the fruit of that labor.
And the process sounded really interesting, which was looking again at monitoring and realising, like many businesses do, that it's not about necessarily the infrastructure monitoring, it's about the application monitoring. And so that was, I think, the first realisation within your organisation that came top down, right? So the management said, okay, actually, I want to know about whether my applications are up in the business, and I want to sort of see that. And then you were challenged by, I think, kind of your management to deliver end-to-end application monitoring, and you said, great, we'll go do that. But the first question was, what is end-to-end application monitoring?
We approached it from two different ways. Did they mean originally end-to-end from each of the different teams, or did they mean end-to-end with communication? And what we ended up with was end-to-end for the application. So we wanted to be able to show an application at each of the different silos in our organization. So the F5, to the Blackboard Learn application, to the database, the virtualization layer, storage layer, and try to get as much of that data together in one view, and then roll up what we could to some one red, yellow, green monitor.
Yeah.
And we got the end-to-end doing pretty good.
Yeah, great. Well, actually, we put some screenshots into the slide deck here, so let's have a look through these. I think on these coffee breaks webinars and sort of previous webinars, we often show Squared Up in action, but typically in our own lab, on top of our sort of demo applications and so on, we rarely get the chance to show off what a customer's doing with Squared Up in the wild. So thank you very much, Shawn, for sharing this. I guess it's the first up to say. So what we have here is the one application that you targeted as a proof of concept, really, for this new end-to-end monitoring.
This is our Blackboard Learn application. It's actually the front end for all of the services that we actually provide to the students. So they can come in here, check grades, submit assignments, things of that nature.
Yep. So this is the sort of VADA discovery of that application. So as you can see, the F5 load balancer in front of their Linux, servers, on the web tier.
Actually, they're appliances.
Okay.
So two appliances in the front, and then in the middle is the application web tier. So there's a lot of servers there, but there are groups of servers that actually do different services, and then they connect out to either the content servers, the database, or the utility servers.
Yep. Great, so that's a good sort of visualization of what the application looks like using VADA. But I guess the really interesting thing that you've done is having modeled that application, you've now pushed that into SCOM as a DA.
As a DA, yes.
And then having discovered really now what you can do with Squared Up by putting perspectives on top of that DA, which we'll be covering, Matthew, in sort of the webinars coming up in a couple of weeks' time, I think.
2 weeks.
Yeah, so sort of building perspectives on top of DAs, and really I think for sort of Shawn, realizing how you can do this and that you can do this really sort of was a light bulb moment.
Yes, so in this particular case, we wanted to actually show the directors, the managers, what the health of Blackboard was quickly. So the Blackboard Learn admins came up with these metrics, and this is what we call the overall health of the application. So only those people that really need to know what's happening, it's at a high level. They don't really have to drill down into it or really know anything special. But this is where you would actually start.
Yep.
But then as you go through each of the different perspectives, you get to the customer perspective.
This one's a great one, yeah.
These are all synthetic transactions that hit different parts of the infrastructure. And we can set high or low thresholds depending on if there's something else going wrong with the infrastructure. We can highlight network latency depending where we run the synthetic transactions. So for each of those, we have one that's on campus and then one that's off campus.
Okay,
So we can actually
testing both local and remote availability.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And then this one is our F5. This one actually just shows the appliances in general, and then the certificate health, because certificates are a pane. They expire, nobody knows unless they write it down or some other method. This lets us actually look at that. We can actually get the general health of the F5 appliance this way also, because each of the different nodes is where it's routing from the F5 to the different servers.
Yeah, great.
This was just the general servers. We broke it out into the front-end servers and the content servers. Just for the Blackboard Learn admin to just come in at a quick glance. Here's my servers. I want to see their just overall health and then just some metrics so they can keep an eye on things. We've had bad code go in where suddenly the processors will go high, but the overall health is fine.
Yeah.
That's something that we don't really want happening.
Yeah. So this is starting to get into the infrastructure sort of views there. So it's, you checking where the application is held from the outside in, and then either if you're seeing an issue from the outside, start looking.
And we actually do have an alert on the content servers. We left that in there. There's a database that we mounted that has 0 space, so it's an alert that we can use to show how this works, because the Learn admins are so happy with what they have and how well it works. Having a red in there just really freaked them out, so we kind of created one because it's never red because they're watching this constantly, so they really like this. This one is our database view. We don't have the database packs in, so this is what we were able to discover just through normal operations manager management packs, and then a couple other scripts that they put in there to pull data out.
I've just noticed, actually, I don't think we have a screenshot, but the next one along is the virtualization layer. So is that monitoring your hypervisors?
That is monitoring our hypervisors. We purchased Veeam, and so we monitor both our VMware ESX landscapes and our Microsoft Hyper-V landscapes. Fantastic. Which is where this floats among those environments.
And so for the administrators of this application, you have everything just in these perspectives on top of this one DA, from the outside in monitoring through F5 servers, databases, and even the virtualization.
So our manager can come in, he can look end to end on how the different components. The administrator can come in, look end to end. The virtualization administrators will have their own views, their own dashboards for things that they care about. But if they get a call from one of the Learn admins and they say, we're having a problem, they can come here and then actually see the same thing that the Learn admin is seeing, and then they can trace it through their infrastructure. So some duplication of effort, but it allows everybody to come to some common view and roll up that information.
Yeah, fantastic. And then I think we have some slides here. Just this is sort of another area where you're looking to integrate different data into Squared Up.
Yes. So in this particular case, we weren't able to get the information into SCOM, but we're using this Squared Up webhook for the top part. So we actually use webhooks to talk to our Libra, MMS, and our Cisco Prime system to pull data out on a dashboard for our IOC to then monitor. And then the bottom piece, where it says Xymon alerts, actually we have another monitoring tool called Xymon where it's writing information to a database. So I wrote a query just to pull out that information. We stick this one dashboard in front of our IOC. So this is what they look at. They don't have to go to 3 or 4 different tools to find what they want to find. They can just one tool, one place, done.
And if I remember seeing Xymon, it's a hell of a lot prettier as well.
It's an old tool.
Xymon is a monitoring tool from the 80s.
Yes, it was a precursor to like Nagios and things like that. The Unix admins just seem to like it.
Cool. Great. Do we have one more shot here? OMS.
This was the OMS integration. So as we're expanding our OMS footprints, we linked up the recent changes. So this particular server, you can see the changes that happened on that box. And then there's another screenshot for patches where it actually goes out to the OMS patching, and then we use this as a check. So our Windows administrators patches, they patch the servers, and then they do their checks, and then this is an independent check to make sure that we're both in sync, just to make sure that we're doubly covered. Really helps with security when security comes back and says, are you sure? This is what gives us that view.
Fantastic. That is very good. Hopefully that's maybe inspired sort of few ideas for the audience. Thanks very much, Shawn, for talking to us. We'll be sort of talking live later at 3 o'clock today, and hopefully we'll have Shawn back maybe in a future coffee break to sort of see that live and in action. I realise the session's switching over at the moment, so it's got a bit noisier in the background, so we'll probably sort of wrap, but over to you, Matthew.
Okay, thank you very much. So if you've enjoyed this coffee break session, let us know what you want us to cover in the future. We're always happy to modify that content based on feedback we get. So if you go to squaredup.com/topics, you can take a survey there and let us know what you want to see, vote on topics and make sure that we're actually aligned with what you need to see. if you go to the microsite for this at squareup.com/coffeebreak series, and then you can sign up other colleagues who may have found this interesting and look at the schedule for what's coming up. And the recordings and the slides are published on our blog, and I'll make sure that all the speakers today have the blogs and Twitter and everything else. So if you've seen something and be like, oh, I really want to know more about that.
Start some conversations.
Exactly, yeah. Talk to these guys, they're definitely happy to share what they've got. And then finally, we have a YouTube playlist for this series as well, so if you've missed a previous episode, you can go out there and check it out. We're starting to get quite a good sort of body of content here now, so it's definitely worth checking out and seeing what we've done.
All right, I guess lastly, just sort of thanks again to all of our presenters who sort of joined us there, sort of taking time out of their sort of fairly busy schedules just to join this webinar. So thanks again to them, and thanks to everyone who's joined us today.
Cool, thank you very much, guys.